Good morning, good morning, and welcome to our Sunday service on Facebook Live. I'd like to thank everyone that's here this morning, Damien on video, and Reverend Sue talking, and Charlie's helping, and we have Judy and Dalton here for music, so I'd like to welcome them. And we'll have some special music to start off this service.
I breathe in,
I breathe out,
I take in,
I give out,
I let love,
I let go, I release, I know,
I forgive,
I receive,
I can feel,
I believe,
I am healed,
I am whole, I release, I know.
breathe,
Breathe.
no need to push,
No need to try
no need to worry,
or question why.
surrender,
Let go, release, and know. Breathe, breathe.
I breathe in,
I breathe in,
I breathe out,
I breathe out,
I take in,
I take in,
I give out,
I give out, I let love, I let go, I release, I know. Breathe, breathe,
What a beautiful way to start our service. Breathing in, breathing out, being fully present for this wonderful experience of our own spirituality, of our own soul, here on this day together, even though it's through Zoom or Facebook. So a quick announcement, Reverend Sue is going to do a class called Practical Mysticism, and it will be starting on June 24th from 7 to 9 in the evening. We're easing into opening up, so you can either do that class by Zoom or be fully present with her. And so give her a call and let her know what your choice is, so she knows how many people to expect. Today, it's almost a miracle. We're having all the carpets cleaned in the center and the social hall cleaned and waxed. So we're very excited about that. So I want to thank Charlie and Doug and everybody in the office who moved furniture like crazy. The foyer is full, outside of the foyer is full, and it's just an amazing thing to see where all this furniture fits nicely. So when you do come back, it will be beautiful. So we're excited about that. So now I'd like to invite Damien to come up and do a reading, followed by a prayer and our speaker. And Charlie will do the bell, right? Okay, enjoy.
Good morning. The reading today is titled Reflections on Intentions and Being by Rolf Gates from the book Meditations on Intention and Being. Gates writes, when the Buddha took his seat with the intention to awaken from his mind-made prison and bring an end to the suffering, the god of death came to him and asked him what right he had to make such a choice. The Buddha said to have kept his silence and simply reached down and touched the earth. He reached down to touch something real. When the Buddha touched the earth, he was saying, this place, I will awaken here. I will not say that there is some place better than where I stand. I will look to the earth beneath my feet for the path that leads to the life I choose. I will find what I need here. I have the power to choose. And when I use that power, this place becomes the place where I love, where I create, where I learn, where I teach, where I find, where I let go, where I live with joy, where I die with honor, where I awaken. When the Buddha touched the earth, he was saying, I choose now. I will not give the power away. I will not give the power of this moment away to the past or the future. I choose now. I do not need to be more or to be less. I choose the person I am. I choose now. I do not need a golden age, an age of reason, or a romantic period. I choose now. It is enough for me to have this body, this breath, this moment. I choose now. I have the power to choose this moment. And when I use that power, this moment becomes the moment I remember who I am. Each time I touch the earth, this moment becomes the moment I awaken.
Please join me in this prayer. And it's all about our oneness, that we are each part of humanity created by the one. And each one every day makes a decision, sets their intention. And as a child of the one, my intention every day is one of those characteristics of God: life, light, love, peace, power, beauty, joy, one of those. Today, my intention is kindness. And I know for myself and you that our intentions are powerful energy. They set the beliefs in our subconscious mind into action. Intending kindness, giving kindness, and we receive kindness. Or someone else receives kindness for something that we have set our intention for. Let kindness, love, peace, power, beauty, and joy be spread through the world this day by each one of us. I give great thanks just to know this, to know the power of the mind, the power of our beliefs. And I say thank you, God, for creating it this way. We each have incredible power in our lives. So maybe today we choose peace, peace in the world, or deep breathing. Just breathe. Give your intention today and watch it blossom all around you. This I know to be true, and so it is. Reverend Sue.
Thank you, Dr. Mary. And Damien, again, the reading. Rolf Gates is a master yoga teacher, and he wrote two different books that I have deeply appreciated. And reading this several times, but then hearing it read was even more potent. So I invite you all, as you sit listening, to keep touching the earth, to keep touching something that's real, so that some of the things that we share today about intentions deepens in your understanding, and we move ahead, as Mary said so beautifully in her prayer. We move in this oneness, in this field of potentiality and beauty and intention. So there's so much written about intention, and I have, for years, when I start a yoga class, I take people into a few moments of breathing and breath work, but that whole time is to really formulate, what is your intention here? What is your intention for your physical well-being, for your peace of mind, for your emotional state of being? And we all need those moments of quietude, of silence, to separate from the ego-driven self, to drop into the true nature of who we are, to touch the earth, and to then tell the truth of what our heart's intentions are. Now, Wayne Dyer wrote a beautiful book that is very popular at a time when I was taking ministerial training, but it is still so valuable today. So that is The Power of Intention. So you might watch for that in the bookshelves too, if you want to understand more, because there's a way that Wayne Dyer frames what intention is. He almost speaks to it, when I first was looking at his words, as the realm of the divine, as this divine spaciousness, as God itself is what intention is. And so sometimes we just look at a word like set my intention, and we kind of wall the word in. So today I'd like to expand on that field of reality that Wayne Dyer is inviting us to look at. So mindful intentions is the idea that we're sharing today. The whole month we're talking about mindfulness. So Wayne Dyer, one of his favorite quotes is, "Our intention creates our reality." Mindfulness and intention are what we're looking at here. And I want you to also, if you could, please recognize those moments when you disconnect from the presence or your awareness or being. And the ongoing, you just notice when you separate from that, what happens. Usually we're caught up in the ego mind, and the part of our suffering starts to emerge, and we feel separate or hurt by what's going on. So this idea, when we connect with the beingness, with the presence, the absolute knowing of the divine, the oneness, there is an ongoing effortlessness that starts to float through you, that's the part of creation. That's where we set our intentions into that space. And if we let that go by without really thinking about what we're doing in every day, we begin to suffer. Patanjali, one of the writers of he's the known author of Yoga Sutras, so that dates back pre-scriptures from way back in the Vedic text, and a lot of yoga is based on Patanjali's writings. But he writes this: dormant forces, faculties, and talents come alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be when you sit in this field of potentiality. Now, field of potentiality is a phrase that Deepak Chopra uses, which I thrive on that idea of the potentiality of all things and the creative field of potentiality. So I will be sharing some of the wisdom going back and forth from Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and Ernest Holmes and some of the other New Thought teachers here. But let me go back to what Wayne Dyer is describing this field as. He speaks of intention as a force that we all have within us. Intention is a field of energy that flows invisibly beyond the reach of our normal, everyday, habitual patterns. It is there even before our actual conception. We have the means to attract this energy to us and experience life in an exciting new way. So if intention determines everything in the universe, and it's omnipresent, why do we feel the disconnect? Why do we feel the lack of much of what we would like to have? So we start to go into some of the ideas of what is the cause of our suffering. And I'm studying right now with several others, with Reverend Andy Torkelson, mental equivalence. And it's an idea that mental equivalence comes from science, but Emmett Fox used it in metaphysical teachings. Ernest Holmes uses it, and there's a beautiful chapter on mental equivalence. But this idea of sharing with Reverend Andy in this class has been very profound because we take it very, very slowly. We take certain words and they become alive. They become real juicy, and we realize, oh my gosh, there's so much more to this than just parroting a word. Your thoughts are things. Instead of just saying that, we really begin to feel what that means. And so mental equivalence is living with a felt sense. I am feeling it, or I'm not. That became sort of a slogan for us. Are you feeling it? And if you're not, your work, your prayer, your word, the power of your thoughts, you want to go in deeper until you connect with the felt sense of the body. And that is what is found in so many scriptures as well, especially in the Yoga Sutras and the Vedantic texts. Feel it with all your senses. Get that felt sense. Now, this question is asked, and I present it to you. This invisible field, this formlessness that manages all that I'm speaking of, this intention of the universe, is manifested in a zillion ways in the physical world. It manifests in every part of you, including your soul, your thoughts, your emotions, and your physical body. So, where are you placing your power? What are you creating if you look around? It's a mirror. Whatever you are experiencing in your life right now is a mirror of your thoughts, of what you have created, of what intention you have invested on and set forth. What are your intentions? What are you being led by in your heart? Or what are you doing that you've always done just to stay safe? Think about that. You might be praying for peace and have these intentions, but some of the ways that you're living are other than that. So this is a little bit of a message to you today to dive in deeper, to do some of your soul work. Because you'll notice in your suffering that you're usually not breathing. And I really appreciate the song of Breathe. Judy and Dalton do a beautiful rendition of that song, and it invites you to really deeply listen. Am I breathing here? Because if you've stopped breathing, you've stopped growing. And so the potentiality begins to shrink down. So are you breathing? Are you reflecting on your mind, or are you reacting to your mind? The Buddha would say, are you awake? Are you setting your intentions, or are you blindly just fumbling along? Each day you just get up and do your habit routines. Now, these are self-inquiry, and whenever we do that, the intention here is to be very compassionate, very mindful, but very honest with yourself. And there was a particular sharing that I want to place right here, a reading that Reverend Andy shared with us yesterday. And this is from Wayne Kritzberg. And he's very popular in men's work, men's movement. So we were exploring, nothing is impossible to a willing heart. Nothing is impossible to a willing heart. So in the inquiry, are you truly willing to have shortcomings or challenges, seen or unseen? Are you willing to have them transformed? Is there a hidden part of yourself? Now, when he started reading this yesterday and I was feeling it, I began to squirm because I thought maybe other people have maybe a hidden part inside themselves that they think nobody else knows about. So it goes on. Is there a hidden part of ourselves, cumbersome as it may be, that wants us to hold on to something just in case we need it, like an old and predictable habituation in consciousness? Perhaps a place of well-worn, stagnant comfort and predictability? We each, it would seem, have a familiar and hidden place within us that is resistant to change, that we rarely show anyone unless we're pushed by circumstance or challenge. Now, I pause here because the events of this year, of 2020, they continue to go on, pushing us out of our comfort zones, pushing us into looking deeper at phrases that we might just have heard and just think, oh, I'm hearing that again, Black Lives Matter. And then you realize, wait, Black Lives Matter, and you start to feel it instead of bypassing it in any way or trying to say, well, all lives matter. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. All lives matter. But right now, it's not about us. It's about understanding something so big here. So, it's a world event right now. Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. Black Lives Matter. And it's where are you with that thought? And allow yourself not just to bypass it, but to go deeper and say, what does that really mean? And really feel it. And what is yours to do? What kind of intention do you want to set from that when you really explore truth being revealed to us these days? So, unless we're pushed by circumstances or challenges, at which time we grudgingly or angrily or emotionally reveal it. That aspect of ourselves is something that we have clung to because we think we disappear or be powerless without it, or we'd lose an identity of some kind. So willingness to look at your intentions here. Willingness is needed to look deep inside our psyche, deep into our consciousness, to risk doing anything it takes to take on whatever stands between where we are and where we want to be. And this willingness aligns us with our highest form of transformation and evolution. And it's really exciting when you realize our higher self is where we may access the magic power of willingness that must always arrive through an awesome commitment, a commitment that asks us to surrender our limited vision of ourselves of the world, of situations. We start to reframe things. We start to limit our understanding because it's so painful to look at in the broader sense. But the world is crying for us. We touch the earth and we see what is real here. And we, like the Buddha, wake up. So this commitment that asks us to surrender our limited vision of ourselves, be drawn into becoming the embodiment of our ever-expanding possibility. Thrilling. He ends it right there, Wayne Kritzberg. He is a spiritual and transformational author, and I can feel what he is saying. And I wanted to bring that to you as we share these ideas on setting intention. This is all about focusing our heart's desire with our specific intentions. Focus, hold on to it in a place of truth. Because this field of knowing, this field of possibility is operating all the time. And so we're being invited here in this month to explore our mindfulness practices, to organize and to empower our choices from here on. Now, I was thinking, what are my deepest intentions? Because it's like it's described as in the seed of the acorn is the possibility and the knowing that the oak tree will be demonstrated from planting and taking care of that seed. And those seeds of potentiality, we are also come from a seed of potentiality of this human form. So I thought back on my life, what has driven me? What has driven me for a lifetime? What has driven you for a lifetime? And where have I given up my power and my longing for that intention? When do I suffer? It's when I've turned from my intention. So I thought about when my first son was born, Chris. And I was studying a lot of yoga at that time and reading Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda. So I would sit in my practice, I would sit in my body, watching my body change, watching my body grow a baby. And I was so longing to have this child be a spiritual aspirant in his lifetime. And I remember so many prayers, so many chants, so much time spent in the quietness of my moods to see what was unseen inside of me and think about his potentiality. And now he's 40. And he is that. And I'm so stunned with gratitude. He is become such a beautiful seed of truth. And he's walking on this earth and speaking his truth and doing his music and singing verses of the Tao and finding his way into the world of Sanskrit and singing the chants and understanding things like I only scratched the surface on my understanding, but he has taken it to another level. And inside I get emotional because I think of those moments when I sat with him as an unknown entity and cradled him in my womb and prayed that he'd have this beautiful life, that he would be a disciple of love and truth, and he became that intention made manifest. My daughter, a whole different, singing, music, and voice became very important, still chanting, still carrying her in the womb, thinking about, I didn't know if she was a boy or a girl, it didn't matter. But then years of developing musical skills, musical talent, her voice opens the world, opens their heart to what is. And I just think of the beauty, the innate gifts that they have, the intention set by the universe. I did nothing. Setting the intention is all I held, that their lives would be an expression of their deepest truths. So many times when she was so little, over and over and over again, Bette Midler, like a rose, over and over and over and over. How's that take? And we would just play with her voice. And now she instructs others how to sing, how to bring that aspect, that gift forth. Those are intentions. Those have organized themselves and empowered my two children. So it gives me a sense of this grace operating through them. But I want to share back to that part of the willingness and that part that kind of hides inside of us when we look at our own potentiality. It's so easy to speak to others, to see their gifts, to see their power, to see their strength, and to claim that with them and for them and to celebrate it and be enthusiastic for them. But what is that stirs inside of us? And often it has to do with our choice. So I wanted to entertain you with a short story from The Holy Man. Susan Trott writes these clever little stories, and this one in particular. This wise man sits on top of a hill, and people take pilgrimage to go have a time with the holy man. And so this one, see if you can see yourself in any of this. I have so many troubles, I don't even know where to begin, said the man in his early 40s with a face unhappy enough to back up all his claims. Nothing goes right for me in my life. I continually find I'm in an abusive relationship. First my father, then my wife, and since my divorce, with other friends and lovers. I know that I must seek out the wrong people, but how do I stop? Even understanding my problems, and God knows I've had plenty of therapy, I keep ending up with wrong people in my life. This is also true of my job situation. Even my children ill-treat me, even my dog. The holy man listened to the man as he went on in this vein, and then, finally, during a pause, asked, "How do you feel about your height?" "My height? I don't think about it." He frowned and puckered his lips. "Height?" he considered. "My height's all right. Why?" "For those of us who are not born into an inescapable prison of poverty and disease," said the holy man, "there is a world of choice upon us. I have reflected long upon this matter, and now I understand that the only thing we have no choice about in life is our height. That is the only thing that's a given. We get to complain about our height, and that is all." "Well, that would be a silly thing to complain about," said the pilgrim with his lofty stance of having so many serious things to protest. "Yes, very silly, since we can't do anything about it, but not so silly as complaining about all the troubles in our life that we can choose to change." So it's cleverly put by the wise man, by the holy man, to entertain the idea of what choice do I have here? Because we want to recognize sometimes we have spent so much time protecting and guarding and defending ourself, and then that self that we are defending is the smaller ego self that gets its feelings hurt. The true self shines through all of that and has a greater power. So that's where you set your intention. That's where in your spiritual practice you set your intention and you focus on what you really want to be serving, your deepest potentiality. And then recognizing that the mind is a mirror reflecting back to us where we are, always setting us on our course. And another thing that Reverend Andy shared is that idea of staying on course no matter what. Just stay on course. People will try to pull you here and there, and they will target you with things that are hurtful, but you stay on course. You touch the earth, as the Buddha said. Touch the earth to what is real. What is real? The deep self, the soul self, the God self. And when you recognize you're connected to that with the felt sense of your body. That's why we have this beautiful body to experience. We experience it in the body, in the breath, and we approach the nature of our true self, the inner self, the true self. This concept that I'm sharing was also spoken of as the field. And in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a whole chapter on the field and the knower. And this field of intention, it is spoken as, there was this little commentary. A wandering sadhu or a holy man is asked what his work in life is, and he replies, I am a farmer. When the question was asked and he replied in such a way, everyone was surprised, and he goes, no, the body of mine is my field. I sow good thoughts, and in my body I reap the results. Now here's where Buddha also said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded in our thoughts, it is made of our thoughts. And Emerson tags on that, what we think, we become. This field of intention. It's a calm, open space. And there's an aspect of infinity to it, and its possibility. It's timeless, it's eternal, it's omnipresent. It's open space. Thoughts come and go here. We have to sit and we have to notice what our thoughts are. Coming and going. What is our thoughts? What are we feeling? What is stirring inside of us for our attention, and are we feeling it? It's called present moment. It's what Eckhart Tolle so beautifully has continually in every writing, in every lecture. Please sit in the present moment and find the self. In the Rig Veda, one of the initial texts of time, in the beginning there was desire, which was the first seed of the mind. Desire, the first seed of the mind. Sages have meditated in their hearts, have discovered by their wisdom the connection of the existence with the non-existence. That sounds so heady, but when we realize this first seed of the mind, desire, what is our intention? What is our desire? Deepak says, inherent in every intention and desire is the mechanics for its fulfillment. Intention and desire in the field of pure potentiality have infinite organizing power. And when we introduce an intention to the fertile ground of pure potentiality, we begin to operate with that infinite organizing power to work for us, through us, as us. We get out of the way. We allow our willingness to align with this greater aspect. So we're watching these ideas of potentiality and possibilities from our heart's desire begin to be set into motion, to allow ourselves to pour a mold and to allow it to be manifest through our dreams, through our visions, through our intentions. And it's what you are using your mind for. Ernest Holmes says, the power that creates exists before we use it. However, it can give us only what we mentally take, and often our unbelief becomes our acceptance. Our fear is a misplaced faith. When you think about what is poking you in this message today, when you look back on it, I invite you to reread some of these texts that we refer to go back to your library and be fed and feel your confidence build as you look at what is mine to know here. Ernest Holmes, the law is infinite and perfect, but in order to make a demonstration, we must have a mental equivalent of the thing that we desire. A demonstration is born out of the mental concept. Faith is the power of our word. Faith is a mental attitude which is so convinced of its own idea, so completely accepts it without any contradiction. It's unthinkable and impossible. Faith looks to the invisible. Instead of seeing a void, it fastens its gaze upon a solid reality. It's not hope, it's a substance. Within each one of us are these seeds of desire. The idea here that we share is to be pulled by your desires. not held back when you're suffering in your discontent, but to be pulled by your desires and to stay on track with that. So I'm going to share another thing from Rolf Gates, because we're going to prepare for a spiritual practice using these tools. Rolf Gates says, sitting quietly in the felt sense, what are you feeling, of the body and the breath, we are allowing ourselves to be available to the experience of life without any commentary. In the absence of commentary, new things enter our awareness that have previously been outside our perception. In the absence of commentary, our true capacity to know what our senses, what our physical, emotional, and our energetic bodies are telling us, this is revealed. We start to actually see the person in front of us. We start to hear the messages coming our way. In this clear, open space of peace, we find in the present moment that we are rediscovering our capacity to know what is true. We touch the earth. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have Judy play the keys. And Deepak reminds us of slipping into the gap. So let's do that together. Let's take a moment. Words, commentary has come your way. Can we put it aside? Can you be comfortable with a few moments of silence, of the empty space? And just slip into the gap. Deepak Chopra. Center yourself into that silent space between your thoughts. Go into silence. Go into that place of being. This is your essential truth. This is your state of being. And as you establish your truth there, you release your intention and your desires. When you're actually in that gap, there's no other thought. But as you come out of the gap, at that junction between the gap and the thought, you introduce your intentions. Watch for it. It's sacred ground. It's what, when Buddha was sitting and questioned in that moment, what are you doing? He paused, he touched the earth, he grounded himself into something that's real. And then in that moment, he recognized there is a gap, a pause, a potential space here of the divine. And this is where we speak our intention. It's in the gap. And whatever you desire, release it into the gap, into that space of knowing. It's your prayer. Yes, it's your prayer, and you're feeling it. You're feeling it with an emotion of truth and enthusiasm and tenderness. And you remain in that state, establishing the awareness of yourself in the true self. This is your spirit, your connection to the field of pure potentiality. You're right there. Keep referring to yourself in that state and reminding yourself that this is such a sacred place, you don't need to share it with anyone. And there's no attachment to your outcome. You let go. Give up any rigid attachment to how your heart's content, how your heart's intention will be made manifest. Let go, let God. Let go, let God. Let yourself breathe. Let yourself trust. Let yourself sit in that aspect of divine faith. Let the universe handle the details. Your intention, your desires released into the gap. The infinite knowing has the power to organize all that is to make your truth be revealed and experienced. Remember, your true nature is pure spirit. Carry the consciousness of your spirit everywhere you go. Carry the consciousness of the spirit wherever you go. Your faith is strong. Your intentions are clear and powerful. Keep breathing. You're right there. You're feeling it. This is a moment for you to be clear and mindful of your intentions. Closing with this prayer, as Judy continues to play, think of these words. There is nothing in the universe that limits you. There's nothing that would or could desire to limit you. Nothing in the universe that withholds from you, because in so doing, it would withhold from itself. You are some part of its purpose. Therefore, the Spirit seeks. The Spirit is urging, pushing against you to fulfill itself. No matter how abundantly the horn of plenty may pour out its universal gifts, there must be a bowl of receptivity, of acceptance, a chalice of expectancy, or the gift cannot be made complete. We clarify our visions of truth. We recognize our thoughts have power, and we are aligned with divine truth, with love itself, propelling us, urging us to take a stand, to be a part of the change that the world is longing for. We are disciples of this truth. We touch the earth and we remember what is real. So I give thanks for the wisdom of the ancient teachings, of the current message in our times, reminding us there is a power here of potentiality, and we let it rain upon us as we stand in our truth and feel it and know it and become it. Thank you, God. Thank you all who are listening. Let us find our way, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. That was an incredibly powerful message today. And now it's time for our offertory. And you're thinking, how am I going to do that? First, we have to do our affirmation. So please repeat after me. Gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
Gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
For I know as I give, I do receive.
For I know as I give, I do receive.
And so it is. So you may, of course, mail in your donation. Call us with a credit card number or whatever works for you. We are so grateful for your donations, the support of those who pledge, the support of those who pledge whatever they can. Every donation makes a big difference. We are sitting well, and that's because of you. And so for that, we are definitely grateful. The office is now open, 8 to 5, Monday through Thursday, as usual. And if you come in, the door will be locked, but just knock, and Lori will open you up. And please wear a mask at this time. There's still some concern out there, definitely, for spreading this virus. So we're happy to be in service to you, and the office is here to serve. And so we'd like to end this service with more music from Dalton and Judy, and we're so grateful that they're here. But first, I would invite you to say, there is only one life.
There is only one life.
That life is God's life.
That life is God's life.
That life is perfect.
That life is perfect.
And that life is my life now.
And that life is my life now.
All right, Dalton.
All right, stand on up, please, wherever you are. Because this is sort of an upbeat song, but I want you to dig deep as you sing it along with me. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me every. Joy is my source. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me every. Peace is my source. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me every. Love is my source. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me every. Let me hear God one more time. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me every. One more time with me. God gives me everything. Turn it around. God gives me everything I